Okay, hey guys, and welcome to my second vlog. Quite a big gap since my first vlog. I do like doing these vlogs, by the way. Well, this being the second, so I do like vlogging. It is fun. I do not intend on stopping it. It's just when I can get the time together to record the gameplay. That's my biggest issue. My last vlog, in total, took 7 hours and 30 minutes to go from the first section of recording it to rendering to uploading, so you guys can actually see it. So it takes a total of 7 hours 30 for a 1 hour vlog. I really don't intend on doing that at all, I will be honest with you. But anyways, this vlog is the reason why an ambulance has come to my house, and this happened on Friday. So Friday the 23rd, an ambulance had to come and visit my house, and I will tell you why, starting from the very beginning. Friday I was getting my internet upgrade, and I was going from the really crappy low range internet I had last time, crap download, crap upload, going straight up to fiber optic, which is now at roughly 20 megabit per second upload speed and 75 megabit download speed. So that is amazing speeds to have. I'm really pleased about that. But obviously, dependent on the day, it will vary how good the speeds are. That's just the way it's always going to work, because you can't make one direct line straight to me because it goes through something, and that's going into technical. That's boring. Don't want to talk about that. But so we had two BT engineers come around my house, and BT is basically an SIP, an ISP, an internet service provider. They're the people that manage quite a lot to do with my internet and a lot of the internet in the UK. And I'm actually with Orange. BT, I can't remember what they stand for, but they're like broadband telecoms or something like that. I don't really know, but the guy was a BT. There were two BT engineers. One came first, and he took a look around, saw what the job needed doing. Then the second guy came to continue doing the work of the first guy, I suppose you could say, because the first guy was just there to search around the house, see what needs doing exactly, and start the work, because his shift was ending very soon. And the second guy came in to take over from where he left off and get a sit rep of what needs doing and stuff, I guess. So the first guy left, and the second guy is staying, doing all the work, and he's going up and down the stairs and drilling stuff into the wall outside, because I have my broadband box on the second floor of our house. Well, first, and if you count it as there's a ground floor and a first floor, then it's on the first floor. I'm up the top of the stairs, basically, and the broadband is here, so that means there's a wire going alongside of the house, so he had to drill into that side of the house to get the wire through, and they do their sort of stuff. But this guy, he was sitting downstairs at our main box, or whatever it is. I didn't take note of the details, but he was sitting downstairs doing some work, and my mum went out to do some stuff, and once she finished that, just before she came back in, she was asking on the progress he made, and I was curious, so I came through. I was in the living room, he's in the dining room, my mum's in the dining room. I was curious and came in, and he was there, just looking at it, and my mum asked this pretty much the same time I entered the room, so he could have thought she was talking to me, but he just sort of stood there. He looked up at us, and he looked back down at the work he was doing, and he was just staring there. We didn't get an answer from him at all, so we just sort of let him do his stuff and walked away. He didn't reply, which was really weird, and his head was down, and it was like he didn't know what he was doing, which was weird. So we go back into the living room, we're watching House on TV, and it's pretty damn good. I liked that episode. But skip ahead 10 minutes, it wasn't that long after, and we hear, like, as he's fell down and he hit our metal gate, and this gate is like, it's a baby gate. You put it to stop the baby from getting through into a certain room, but we use it for our dog. We brought it and used it to keep our dog in the kitchen, which is really useful. But we heard that, Didn't sound like he fell on it or anything, but we heard it nonetheless, because it's a really loud ass gate. But we're just thinking, oh, he could be packing up or something. Let's go see on his progress and see what's going on. Go out. My mum goes out there and he's lying on the floor, and my mum's left the door open so I can see he's lying on the floor. So I rush out there to see what's going on. And he's just lying on the floor with his eyes open, staring up. And I'm thinking, okay, this is interesting. This is not normal. What the hell is this creep doing? And it's like, he's looking up sort of at the roof or at the top of the door, and I'm just thinking, does he see something interesting? I'm trying to look up there and just see if he's spotted something of great interest and got a better view of it lying down or something like that. And then my mum gets the impression that he could be injured. So then I'm like, oh yeah, that would make more sense than what the hell I'm thinking. I'm thinking he's staring at the roof thinking something's interesting, and Mum thinks he's injured or something like that. So then I start thinking that, and we get to him, and he's just lying on the floor, no response, he's not doing anything, his eyes are open and he's awake, but it's like he can't talk. So my mum sits him up, so he's sitting up on the floor now, with his legs straight up. This is it, the door going into our kitchen from the dining room. And he's sitting up, he's like holding his leg, and later on we found out that he's holding his, well, I found out that he's basically holding his leg to try and stay sat up. But it looks like at the time he had an injured leg or something, and he fell over because of its injured leg. We didn't really know. So my mum's like, are you okay? Is everything alright? Have you hurt your leg? Can you hear me? And stuff like that. She's trying to get some basic yes-no responses just to see what the hell's going on. Because this guy's just sitting on our floor, not responding. His head's bent forward, looking down. He's got his hand on the bottom of his leg, like below the kneecap, above the foot type of area. So we think he's injured his leg, fallen over. Fair enough, that stupid stuff can happen. And we're just getting absolutely no response from him. And he's slowly sort of getting lower, leaning forward and just putting his head further down, like he's fallen asleep sitting up. So we get him to lie down. My mum goes and gets him a little pillow for him to rest his head on. We get him to lie down, and my mum wants me to pass her the landline, the phone that we've got downstairs. She tries to ring 999, but the guy's upgrading our internet. So he's taken out, we've got no communication with the landline because he's taken out the phone line. Because he's doing something with the box which the phone line plugs into. So at this point we're just thinking, oh bugger, 1 second, let me just go get your mobile phone. So I get her a mobile phone, she rings 999, tells them the sit rep, and then seconds after she makes that call, the guy's phone rings. So I'm like, ooh, I best answer this. It could be anyone of his friends, it could be his boss, it could be anyone who knows about him. So I answer it and I say, hello, who's speaking? And he says, is that you, Peter? Because the BT engineer's name's Peter, so I'll call him Peter from now on. But this turns out it's Dan, which is the first BT engineer that arrived on site and handed it to the second BT engineer, who's now on the floor. And I'm like, no, sorry, my name's Alex, so-and-so, and I answered his phone because the owner of the phone has collapsed, and right now he's at my house upgrading my internet. And he then says, oh, I'm the engineer that arrived first, Dan, is he alright? And I'm like, he's not responding to anything, and it looks like he may have hurt his leg or something, and it looks like he's passed out. And at this point we get some vital information that probably saved Peter's actual life. Dan on the phone says he's diabetic. So at this point I'm just thinking, okay, he hasn't had any insulin, or he's not had enough insulin, or he hasn't eaten all day, or something like that. Something's gone wrong in his diet for the day. So and then the Dan says he had some insulin not too long before he set out to come over to upgrade your internet to do some work. So my mum is still on the phone to 999, the ambulance. Well, it's not an ambulance, but you know, it's the hospital, and they're trying to keep her talking, trying to give you a current sitrep because his eyes are still open, he's still awake, but he's unresponsive. And something I forgot to say. We did ask him. I asked him, "Do you know where you are?" And he nodded his head to the left and right, and it's like, no, he doesn't know where he is. So it's like, oh crap, he could have short-term amnesia. Let's try and solve it. Do you know your name? And he said Peter, and then I've forgotten his last name, but he said Peter something. So he knows his last name, which is good. He knows his name, but he doesn't know where he is. So that's a good sign. Well, it's not a good sign, but he knows something. So he hasn't got full-grown amnesia or anything. So he hasn't done any of that. But at this point, I'm like, oh mum, he's diabetic, tell them that. Maybe they could say give him a sandwich or something like that. I don't know, but we didn't give him any food at the end. We didn't think of that, because he's unresponsive. He probably doesn't even know how to eat anymore. I don't know how it works. But Paramedic is nearly on his way. Like, he's nearly arrived. And Dan on the phone is just like, oh, okay, well, my mum's on the phone to the ambulance right now, so a paramedic should arrive shortly. And he's like, okay, if need be, I will give you my number so you can call me if you need any more information, and maybe I can just help you with him. I don't know. But these obviously aren't the exact words that were said at the time. This is my trying to remember it, and my memory is shit, but it was quite interesting that happened. So I jot down his number on a piece of paper and check the phone, see his name is Dan something or other, and it's like, okay, that's his colleague, sorted. We now have somewhere to turn to if something goes really, really wrong, or we can give them a contact, and Dan might know family members or something we can contact then. So if it goes to that state, we're in the good. So I'm trying to think of worst case scenarios. Okay, I've got his phone number. The guy's a doctor or something, can ring random numbers on his phone and try and get family members. Or now I know Dan, so I'll point them towards Dan when they get here and say, okay, this guy called up. His name's Dan. He's a colleague of Peter, and he may know family members or phone numbers, or at least names, so we can have a look on the phone of the names of the people he's got on his phone. So that's all good. And then he hangs up and done talking to Dan, got the information we need. We know he's diabetic, so the paramedic arrives. Paramedic knows all the information we've been telling him, because probably been on a straight radio, I don't know, but I told him anyway. Yeah, the guy's just inside, and by the way, he is diabetic. So I'm just trying to make it could be something to do with being diabetic. You never know, but that is the most likely reason this happened. And at this point, he is on the floor. His eyes are closed, but he is slightly responsive. So the paramedic's just like, Pete, can you hear me, Pete? Shows a sign, open your eyes, Pete. And he's constantly talking to him, trying to get a response. And it's working, sort of. His eyes are opening and he's moving about a little bit, but he's going deeper and deeper to look like he's going to sleep. So basically he's getting close to the point where he's going to go into a diabetic coma. Now, by the way, I haven't researched any of this up. I don't know anything. What I'm saying could be complete bogus, but it looks like he's going into a coma. He's going to pass out. So the paramedic says, excuse me, young man, and I'm like, my name's Alex, just call me Alex. And he's like, okay, Alex, will you go into the back of my car, here's the keys, in the boot, and get me the big blue bag. It's the biggest bag in there, and it's blue. It's pretty obvious. It should be on the top shelf in the boot, because he's got like this little shelf to help keep his stuff split so he can fit it in easier. So I run out there. I'm in my socks. I run out there, I grab the bag, I head back inside, I open it up well, he tells me to open up the main compartment, so I open it up and he's like, will you pass me that thing right next to your right arm? Looks like, oh, what's it called? No! You use it to inject people, like a needle type thing. Generally hold it with your 2 middle fingers and your thumb and you push down to pump stuff in. I can't remember, tell me in the comments. I'm just having a complete dirt moment, but it could be a needle for it's not a needle, is it? That's gonna bug me for so many hours until I get this up. But so I hand him that and he's like, can you pass me that little jar type thing of liquid? And I get that out, I snap it off, it's open, give it to him, he puts it in and injects it in, and he asks me to get this little green thing, and he puts the green thing into his arm, so it's like a good tube that he can just put a tube in and it slowly injects it into his arm. And he gets me to get a bag of sugary water, is the best way to say it, that's how he described it. And he hooked up the sugary water to his arm, so he's getting a good stream of sugary water. I think it's called glucose, the technical term, glucose, or insulin, I don't know the technical names, but so he's getting a constant amount of sugar in his bloodstream. He's tested the guy now, and he's at 0. He's got no sugar. He's really bad for having diabetes. So at this point, he's passed out. He's not giving any reaction out. So he asks me to get a couple more things out of the bag, and I pass them to him, and he does his thing. And Peter's his hair is just full of sweat, his body is sweat, and it looks like he's been outside in the pouring rain. He's really sweating. So I guess that's what it does to you, having that low blood sugar, not being able to control it or anything like that. So he's in a bad state, no show of improvement, until he gets that thing attached into his arm, getting sugar pumped in, and then he starts to look like a little bit better, but not much better. We're not getting much signs from him. It looks like he's not having too much of an effect to be very accountable. It looks like it's not doing enough. It looks like he's still getting progressively worse, but slower. So he's just trying to keep him in that state. He's trying to keep him where he is, trying to keep him alive. And then, not long after, an ambulance arrives with 2 other people in, and they're like, okay, so sit rep, basically, and they're talking, finding out his current state, what's going on and that. And he's saying he's trying to give him some of this stuff, and all that's happening. And one of the people from the ambulance tells the paramedic, it doesn't look like it's going in enough. And he's like, yeah, I've been thinking that, but it looks fine to me. And he says, check the nozzle, like at the very end of the bag where the tube's connected into the bag. There's been quite a few faults. That's where you get some faults in, because it wasn't smooth water. It wasn't going in fast enough. And they twiddle about with it, and they get it going good, and it's going into his bloodstream nice and fast and nice and quickly, and it's all fine. And we start seeing improvements really fast, and not long he's ready to sit up, and he's becoming responsive. He's talking a little bit, and he says, and they asked him, do you know where you are? He still doesn't know where he is at this point. Do you know your name? Do you have any family? And he's like, I live alone. My name is Peter. I have 1 mother, 2 children, that. And he's still sitting up, and slowly, as more sugar gets into his stream, he's like, he says the name of, I can't say it because then you'll know where I live, but he says the name of our street, and he's like, yes, do you know who we are? And he says, no, I don't know who you are. And then eventually he remembers everything, and is like, okay, his memory's back, he's responsive, he's doing good. I think soon, when you're ready, Peter, let's try and sit you up onto this chair. So not long after this, he's sitting on the chair, and we start having a laugh about it. Really, we're just saying, "Oh yeah, this has never happened. This has happened to me once in my life, 3 years ago. This is not usual for me. This usually never happens." And they're asking him questions like, "Have you been on your regular diet? Is this usual for you?" and that. And he says, "I've eaten an apple, Weetabix, and some other stuff." And they asked, "Is that normal diet for you?" And he said, yeah, that's normal for me. I've never had a problem with it." So he's eating the normal amount. It's just completely random as to why his sugar level went down so intensely. So at this point, they've put 225 into him. Now, I only heard 225. I didn't hear a volume. I didn't hear liters, milliliters, or anything like that. So I don't know. They put 225 into him from the bag, and it's obviously a small bag. You could search up IV bag or something, and you'll see the size. I don't really know. But his sugar level is now at 9. Really, really high, way above average. So they're saying like, "Oh, he's going to be really high and hyper after this once he gets back to normal, and he's going to have so much sugar in him, he's going to be hyper and want to do everything." And that's basically what it's going to be like for him for the next half an hour. And then he stands up, and they take him to the ambulance, and overall they just do loads of filling out of papers, doing some look-through check-over of him, making sure that he's alright to be on his own and that. And he said, "Oh, no, this is not good. 2 weeks of training to get onto the field after being in planning." And planning is basically being in office work, planning how the fibre optic cables get set up and that. And we're actually his first job of the week. So we're the first job he's got, trying to become a full-time fibre specialist, engineer type of person, out in the field. He's never done any of this sort of stuff before. He's obviously had to train setting it all up and that, but it's his first time out in the public doing it for an actual client. So he was thinking, "Oh crap, I might not get paid for this. They might not send me out another upgrades or engineering jobs or anything like that, and they might put me back behind the desk." And the boss called while he was on the floor, by the way, and the paramedic just updated him on the current situation, and he was like, "Oh, okay, call me back to let me know his current situation, because I can send someone over to pick him up if needed." So his boss was a pretty nice guy in that, and he seemed down to earth and fine with it all. And it's like things happen, and so the BT engineer, he didn't want to disappoint his boss, he didn't want to disappoint me or my mum, and it's like, we wouldn't have been disappointed. I would have completely understood. I would have been pissed off that my internet was broken, but I would have understood. So he stays and does the work after he's fully on his feet, and he's fine. He's had some food. He's had like a Twix bar and that from his car, and we offered to make him a sandwich and to do that, so he's got some stuff to burn slower. So he's getting constant sugar, constant carbon, stuff like that, stuff you need. So he's getting it burnt slower than getting it straight into his bloodstream from what the paramedic was doing. So he had some food he had in his car. I don't exactly know what, but we were joking about him having just a Twix, and he's fine. He's got enough energy to last him forever. But all in all, the people from the ambulance and the paramedics, they were awesome guys. They were even joking about some stuff and saying, "Oh, I was just about to get off work and this happens." It's just unfortunate that it has to happen and all that sort of stuff, and it's that we're all joking about and having fun. And another thing to add to this is my dog dislikes strangers. barks at the first stranger he sees. He's a little bit crazy. And with the first 2 people he barked at, which was the first 2 BT engineers, and then the paramedic and the 2 other doctors that arrived, he was fine with. He didn't bark. He growled and went, and he let off a little tiny bark, like you know, just something silly dog noises that he makes. But all in all, my dog was brilliant throughout the entire situation. It's amazing, and the BT engineer managed to get everything fully set up, no issues, until the modem he installed had all the lights, and he was told once all those lights are working, the internet works. So it's like, oh no, the internet isn't working, but that's got lights. That means there's no wrong connections, everything's set up correctly. So this is the part when I'm like, oh, maybe I can help you out here. I'm learning about this stuff in college. So I come up, I look at it, and the setup is perfectly fine. Nothing should be wrong, and it should be working. So we're all really confused about it, and we get a manual, we look at it, and we look at step 6, which talks about, by this stage your internet will not be working, but everything else will be. Everything else should be set up and you'll be getting the correct lights. You have to open up the internet, type in this IP address, and set it up to migrate from Ethernet to fiber, and it'll restart my router and do something. I don't know exactly what it did, but we figured it out in the end that once you did that, internet was working fine for the entire house, and there were no issues. So he went, and it was a nice quiet day after that, really. There's not much else to add. My feet were really sore and wet, because I was told I have to go to the end of the street to show them, oh, we're down here. So I sprinted to the top of the street. It's pouring, it poured it down with rain not long before this, so the floor's soaking wet. I'm in socks. And I'm like, we're in this street, so they turn down, and they're in a bloody car, so they can go whatever speeds. So I'm like, oh shit, okay. I'm sprinting back down on hard gravel, well, not hard gravel, but hard stony, crappy pavement built shit. So my feet feel like they're bloody bleeding, but I'm not thinking about that at this current moment. So he gets in, he sees to the guy and all that, and that's where the paramedic enters the house, basically. But that's basically the reason why the ambulance came round my house in great detail. And we have a nice relaxing weekend. I think I did a 24-hour live stream, and it was all good, it was all amazing, and I guess I learnt from it quite a bit. That if anyone ever randomly faints, I'm going to find out if they're diabetic, and if they know their name but they don't know where they are and they're sweating, I'll probably presume from now on that they're diabetic and they need some sugar, so I'll offer them, I'll make a quick sandwich. I'll get them a chocolate bar to nibble on while I'm making a sandwich. I don't freaking know. We'll see. And then he can go and get his insulin and check his blood levels and do it himself, because he'll have enough energy and he'll be fine. But it was quite a good learning experience and pretty interesting. And Monday, which was yesterday for me, the 26th, we're thinking, okay, weekend was fine, Friday was eventful and a little bit scary, and Monday, I'm lying in bed, my mum brings my dog in, and she just brings the dog in and puts him there in my room, so he's going to sleep. This is at 7:30, and this is different from the ambulance thing, by the way, but this is at 7:30, she dumps the dog in, and it's like, yeah, okay, the dog's been dumped in, fair enough, that's normal time. And about this time, she's going off to work now. So she goes off to work. 8 o'clock, I hear my door open again, and I'm like, oh, well that's weird, what happened then? And I'm sitting there for 10 minutes trying to figure out, I swear that door opened. That's weird. I swear the door just opened and closed itself. And I'm like, hang on, is my dog still in here? Buddy, because Buddy's the name of my dog. And he's not responding. I don't see him anywhere. I get off my bed and I look around and I see he's not there. And then I get back into bed and I'm like, what the fuck? Did the dog just open and close the door? That doesn't work. How did he reach the handle? So I'm thinking about that. How a dog could open and close a door in bed, so you know instantly how freaking tired I am. And like 8:30, I go downstairs and I see, oh, Mum. That explains a lot of things, but why are you here? And she said, oh, my car's broke down, it won't start. I think it could be something to do with the starter motor or the battery, and we talk a little bit crap like that. So, to make this past couple of days even better than a diabetic coma type situation happening, ambulance being called, 24-hour live stream, my mum's car has decided to broke on her. So she calls whatever car company it is that came and fixed it. I can't remember what it was. And big yawn. And they say, yeah, we'll be there by 10 o'clock. So I'm just like, well, wow, that's amazing. That just sucks, really. And I have to be in college for 11 o'clock, and 9:30 is when I usually get up. No, 9 o'clock is when I usually get up, and I got my own system set out at like 10:15 for college, get there half an hour early and relax. If a room is open, I'll go in and do some work that I didn't do while I was supposed to be doing it, which I should be doing now really, but oh well. Fuck it. I don't like it. The work that I have to do, that is. And that has been my most eventful 4 days of my life. The BT engineer got here at 2 o'clock. He ended up leaving. He ended up leaving at 8 o'clock. 6 hours without internet. I was just in hell. I was downstairs watching Sky thinking, when is it gonna be done? Oh god. But yeah, BT engineer did eventually have one of his colleagues come over because the paramedic called his boss back and got a vehicle coming back, because it was not recommended at all that he go driving after that happening, and he probably picked it back up on Saturday. I don't know, his van, that is. But his colleague arrived and for the last 20 minutes was helping him finish off the job because he really wanted to finish it off. So that is pretty much the story. He ended up leaving in his colleague's car home and came back and picked up his van some other time. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this vlog. Don't think I missed out on any details really, but yeah, that was pretty good. More detail than I thought I'd get into. I remembered quite a bit of stuff. So thank you for watching, and I shall see you in vlog 3. Peace out, guys.